Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar on insurance for your surrogate. This is for both U.S. and international intended parents. Now, before we begin, I just want to go over a few quick things. Everyone today is in listen-only mode. However, even though you're on mute, if you have any questions throughout this presentation, please feel free to ask any of those questions in the go-to control panel, which is located on the right-hand side of your screen. And we will be sure to answer all the questions at the end of this presentation. I also wanted to let everyone know that this webinar is being recorded. So if for some reason you need to leave at any time, I will be emailing a copy of the recording to all of you. Now, today you'll be hearing from two wonderful ladies. The first one's Natalie Canellis, who is our senior counsel here at Surrogacy and Egg Donation. And then Virginia Hart, who is CEO of At-Risk Financial Insurance Solutions. Now I'm going to hand it over to Natalie to get this webinar going. Natalie?
Oh, thank you, Jen. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. I wanted to thank everybody for attending and participating in this webinar, and also to repeat or to encourage you, sometimes if you don't know a lot about insurance, it's hard to think of the questions. If you think of them later, feel free to email me or follow up, at any point. Today we're going to be talking about the types of insurance that we use during the journey. And just to give you a little background about myself, I started off in your more traditional litigation and appellate work at a New York City firm and then Boston. And in connection with that, I actually had a fair amount of work concerning insurance coverage. And even though that involved business disputes, when I came to Circle in 2012, it just was a natural transition for me to focus on insurance matters. And that's what I've been doing for the past 8 years now. One thing I love about insurance is that, whether you're talking about a multi-million-dollar business dispute or, a $2,000 coverage dispute, it's the exact same law, it's the exact same issues. And I find it fascinating. I know that Virginia also finds insurance fascinating. We've worked together over the years and we've been on panels together. Maybe I'll use the word interesting instead of fascinating. I might have been exaggerating a little bit, but the ironic thing is, even though we find insurance interesting, our goal for you as intended parents and for the surrogates is for insurance to be not interesting at all, that everything just goes according to plan and it doesn't even enter your mind that much. When that happens, we're happy. But if it does get complicated, it's good to have sort of the backing of our legal team and Virginia's team there. So the types I'm going to focus on are maternity. We're going to talk about what we do initially throughout the journey. And then I'm also going to talk about coverage for your baby. And because that obviously is our whole goal. And then Virginia is going to go into some of the details about Insurance 101. So just turning broadly now to the types of insurance that you're going to have. Jen, if you could go to the next page. Yeah, and then the next one. Yeah, one more. Good. So you'll see the types of a journey of insurance. And this is for the complications insurance. That's for both the egg donor, if you need one, and the surrogate. Life insurance, that's part of the protocol for the surrogate. Maternity insurance, which is where I spend most of my time. Backup maternity coverage, and we can talk about that later. And then I put insurance, in brackets. And the reason I put it in brackets is because it's so important, but also just to distinguish it from the other types, in that the complications insurance, life insurance, maternity insurance, the backup maternity coverage, those are all part of what you've already paid for when you sign on with Circle's fixed fee program. The insurance for the baby is separate. That's not part of the fixed fee. That's something that the parents will pay and arrange for themselves. And then part of what we do on a daily basis is there is a coordination between Circle and the insurance brokers. Brokers, help implement, purchase the policies if necessary, whereas Circle, at least my role in particular, concerns more coverage issues. Now, if you look at Circle's goal, which this is consistent with me saying we hope you find it not interesting at all, is that you have security for your entire surrogacy journey. And one way that Circle does that, starting in 2020, is that all of the programs are fixed fee. And under that fixed fee portion, for the medical and insurance expenses, it includes everything that you need for the maternity coverage, including the premium, the co-payments, the deductibles, if this carrier has your standard sort of policy. It also includes the increased base fee for the carriers get when they have insurance, to sort of appreciate that. Covers the complications, life insurance, the insurance defense, which is where the legal team comes in, and sort of the backup policy if necessary. Now the way, so how can we do that, or how can we give you everything for one fixed fee? Because that's security for the intended parent, so they don't have to worry about increased fees or surprises. The reason we can do that is because for the past going back now 25 years, we just have extensive experience, in identifying, screening, and accepting surrogates with existing maternity coverage. And that covers the surrogacy journey. And if we approve an insurance policy and it encounters difficulties, which it can, then we are equipped to deal with the problem and, if necessary, do an insurance appeal. And during those times when surrogates are not covered, either they don't have insurance or they have an exclusion, then we can facilitate high quality, especially surrogacy specific contractual liability policy under agreement that we have with Lloyd's of London. So it's sort of the history and our expertise that allows us to feel comfortable sort of fixing this cost for you so that you don't have to worry about it, so that the intended parents can go forward with their journey. Now, going on to maternity, what we do initially, and this is like we obtain the policy and proof of coverage. The proof of coverage is often just the insurance card. Obtaining the policy sounds simple, it can be hard. But the policy is necessary because for liability purposes, what the policy says should govern all sort of coverage decisions. So, and that's why we, whenever we talk about, oh, we can call the insurance company, we can ask them, oh, yes, you can, but they can't change what the policy says. Anyway, once we get the policy, we review the policy and we do that multi-layer just so that make sure that we're not missing anything. Sometimes the surrogate or her partner may have questions. We make sure we're available to answer any of those questions. And then when we approve them, then we instruct the surrogate when and how to start using her insurance, because her maternity insurance would start with when she's released to her OBGYN. And if not approved, then we arrange for the coverage, either that contractual liability policy I mentioned, or potentially, depending on the circumstances, it could be an ACA plan. But we and that's where we would also draw on our brokerage or Virginia. We would just look at all the options. Now, once the pregnancy is developing, and then it's very important to monitor. See, we like to think, oh, now she has insurance, this is great. But in the last couple of years, we've noticed, and you probably have noticed individually as well, that insurance changes more and more. An employer will change it. An insurance company might stop making it. So we have to monitor that. We deal with medical provider questions. Sometimes even if the insurance company agrees with us and we've already spoken to them, the medical provider will say, I'm not comfortable. So we can deal with that. We speak with insurance companies on a variety of issues. And if we can't reach an agreement, we do the appeal. And throughout all of this, then we also have our medical billing team, as the bills come in, checking to make sure that the bills are appropriately covered and billed and paying for the appropriate expenses. Now, all of this, although I'm the one that's talking about it and I'm the one that deals with sort of coverage issues, All of the teams involved at Circle make this possible. And that starts with pre-screening, screening, social workers, program coordinators, the legal team, and the medical billing team. So it's actually, I think, one of, I know Circle is very proud of the way it has dealt with insurance issues and medical billing issues over the years. Now, the backup policy or plan, which we talk about, that again is the contractual liability policy through the Lloyd's of London that is there as a safety net. Now, the reason it's necessary, even though we're very confident and of our expertise, when we deal with insurance companies, we're dealing with third parties. We're dealing with individuals at those third parties that we can't control. And mistakes can be made, and we can do everything we can to help the insurance company, correct the mistakes, see it our way. Realistically, it's just not possible. And so we do have that safety net there. Again, going back to our goal is that you have security throughout the surrogacy journey. So again, how can it be used? It's used if the surrogate loses her insurance, either through a job loss or some other way, and we look at all the options, and this backup plan is the best option. Or we can also implement it if the insurance company denies coverage, say after the baby is born, and we do the appeals and we're unsuccessful, we still have that backup plan as a safety net. And then going to coverage for the baby, and this is, again, this is not covered by your fixed fee, but we do sort of facilitate you with your domestic IPs. You'll be able to just simply add your baby to your policy. The advantage here is that you have some time to talk to HR. Either currently you could just inquire, or once you're matched, once you decide to pursue your journey, if you know where your carrier is, you could talk to your HR and say, my baby's going to be born in Tennessee. What should I do? And so that's just something that we can. That's pretty easy for domestic parents. For international parents, we know historically it's been hard. There are some options that we have had success using, and Virginia, I think, has a list of them. We can assist you with that, but again, ultimately, it's something that it's going to be your decision, and you're going to be the one that applies. And then when we have the baby being born, those medical bills, our team also helps with the medical billing just to make sure it's appropriate. So that covers my portion. I'm going to turn it over to Virginia, and she's going to go into the Insurance 101, which I love because I always need this is good information. Thank you, Virginia.
Thanks, Natalie. Okay, so we're briefly going to describe that. Natalie went over very well the types of insurance that you're going to need for your journey. And so we'll be doing the same type of thing. So my name is Virginia Hart, and I am the CEO of Art Risk Financial and Insurance Solutions. We've been specializing in insurance solutions for the egg donor, surrogacy, intended parent, basically the whole world of assisted reproduction technology for about more years than I like to acknowledge, because I still think I'm 21, but so approximately 15, 16 years, so quite a while. And over the time, insurance has changed dramatically, and it keeps continuing to change. So one question I get asked quite frequently, and Natalie also went into this in detail, is that, why do I need insurance? And the whole reason that you need insurance is that your contract is going to specify that you're responsible for the medical bills of the surrogate. And so if you do not have insurance in place and something goes wrong and there is, an unfortunate death or a stay in an ICU, you're the one who will be paying that. So as I say, if you don't want to have insurance, just put a lot of money in escrow. And, if you're okay paying a $250,000 hospital bill out of your pocket, that's fine. But otherwise, for, 25 or 30,000, you could have insurance and minimize that risk. So that's why insurance is very important, because your contract is going to require you to pay for her medical bills, and insurance is a vehicle that is used to pay for it. As Natalie did indicate, one of the types of insurance that you need is egg donor and recipient. This covers the complication due to the medication or the process for either the donor or the surrogate. So for example, if the surrogate had a reaction to the medication that she's given, this insurance would cover it. It does not have any deductible. So it's first dollar coverage, and it covers up to $250,000 or up to $500,000, depending upon the policy that's given or that's written. And even if the donor or the recipient have health insurance, their health insurance may deny coverage for a non-covered service. So since they're not going to cover IVF, they may not cover this. So that's a very inexpensive. It's roughly $500 for the donor and the recipient. So inexpensive coverage that will cover that. Circle does have a plan that is an 18-month plan, which means you purchase it once and then it's good for multiple cycles. So the price point is a bit above that $500, but it's actually a good deal because it's good for more than once. Maternity coverage for your gestational carrier is important because, as we said, it's going to cover her medical bills that are related to the surrogacy. So Circle will verify if a surrogate's current insurance will cover surrogacy within her plan. And if it does, then that's by far the least expensive and the best way to go. If it doesn't, then you may have to take a look at a plan that is designed for a gestational carrier. So they are underwritten through Lloyd's of London. They were written for surrogacy, so they cannot be denied. There are certain services within the plan that are uncovered. So for example, it does not cover genetic testing. It has a limit to the number of ultrasounds. So it's important to know, what may or may not be covered. With the way that Circle works their one price plan or their fixed cost plan, the non-covered services truly aren't an issue because they're absorbed as part of the plan. One of the advantages of the Lloyd's plan is that it does not have a network of providers. So the surrogate can go to any hospital or any doctor. And that's truly important because there are surrogates that say, I need to see Dr. Jones and deliver at Mercy Hospital, or I don't want to do this. With traditional insurance, you may not be able to do it. The coverage also crosses state lines. So if she were to move or be on vacation and have a medical issue, there would not be an issue with the insurance. So again, since the insurance is put in place for the purpose of protecting your investment in this, then it's nice to know that it has a lot of flexibility surrounding it. The premium for the reimbursement plan, which is the plan that Circle uses the most, is $3,000 plus an enrollment fee. Another option would be to purchase traditional insurance through the marketplace or the exchange. These plans are really the Obamacare plans, the Affordable Care Act. They can only be purchased between November 1 and December 15th, unless you happen to, the surrogate lives in a state where maternity or pregnancy is a qualifying event. There's currently 4 of them: New York, Connecticut, Vermont, and Maryland. But the plans are restrictive. They have networks of physicians. They do not cross state lines, and the policy can change every year. So if it's a policy that has no surrogate exclusion in 2020, the insurance company could change that and put a surrogate exclusion in for 2021. So they're not as fluid as a Lloyd's of London plan would be, and they are a bit more restrictive. The secondary plans are technically insurance on your insurance. So basically, as Natalie said, it's your safety net. And a secondary plan is used in case the primary plan will not pay. It's a derivative of the primary plan, which is the Lloyd's of London plan. And it's used in case the surrogate insurance does not cover, or let's say it changed halfway through the year, or her employer changed plans and now she doesn't have coverage. There is additional premium and deductible required if need be. The cost for the secondary plan to start is $1,500. If the surrogate meets preferred criteria, which roughly 80% of all surrogates do. If activated, it can cost more money, up to approximately $28,000. But again, for Circle clients, that's not such a big issue. It's actually less money because of how Circle handles their benefits under their fixed fee. So you're really looking more at that lower cost. Life insurance or insurance to cover the death of a gestational carrier is a plan that's underwritten through Lloyd's of London. Again, it was created for surrogacy. There is no medical underwriting. If she qualifies to be a surrogate, she qualifies for the plan. You can purchase a variety of policy limits. It's guarantee issue up to $600,000, and then if you want that higher limit, it's going to be based on her salary. So she has to be making quite a chunk of change in order to get that $1 million limit. You can split the beneficiary. So for example, you could get a $350,000 policy with $100,000 going to the intended parent should the baby perish as well, and then the $250,000 going to the surrogate. So that the policy is for 18 months or 90 days post-birth, whichever comes first. If you had to go through several transfers and that you had not yet delivered within that 18 months, additional months can be added on a prorated basis. To the life insurance plan, which actually technically it's accidental death, so just FYI, you can also add the loss of a reproductive organ and permanent total disability. It's a rider that basically says if she were to lose an ovary or a uterus or fallopian tubes, your contract is going to require you to give her a cash payment for that loss, and this policy will cover the loss. The permanent and total disability will give her a lump sum should she be permanently and totally disabled for a year after the birth. So if for some reason she cannot continue her activities of daily living due to something that happened during the pregnancy, then this policy would give her a lump sum, and it can be added as a rider to that accidental death policy. Circle also has a very nice rider that they can add to the primary reimbursement or secondary plan, and that is a bed rest disability plan. So should the surrogate be unable to work, it will help compensate her wages, or should she be a stay-at-home mom, it will help pay for daycare as well as housekeeping. So again, those are things that contractually you would be responsible for reimbursing the surrogate for these expenses. So the bed rest policy will help you to, will cover those expenses so that they're not expenses out of your pocket. So that's a really nice feature, because if somebody, needs to have daycare at, $12 an hour or $100 a day, that's $500 a week, $2,000 a month that the intended parent would be responsible for. But with the use of this policy, the policy would pay for it. Newborn insurance. Newborn insurance is used to cover the cost of the newborn while it's in the U.S. If you are a U.S. citizen, the chances are that your health insurance, you have 30 days to add the baby. It will go back to date of birth, or you can purchase a plan through the Affordable Care Act that would cover the baby. The tricky part is that if you have an HMO, it may not cross state lines, so you really need to find out from your insurance carrier what will and will not be covered. If you are an international intended parent, the ACA is really not an option for you, because it requires that you not only be a citizen, well, the baby is a citizen of the US, so that's great. So to get ACA insurance, you have to be a citizen of the US, and you have to have the legal right to live and work in the US. And unfortunately, if you're here on a visitor's visa, that's not going to qualify you. So it's kind of one of those catch-22s of the law. Some international IPs who work for a large multinational conglomerate are fortunate in that their insurance will actually cover the baby in the US, as well as some of the private insurance plans that can be purchased in some of the countries in addition to your state-run insurance. So I always encourage international intended parents to check into what options would be available within their own country first. There are 3 options that can be used for international intended parents. One is through Universal Family Insurance. It will only cover a singleton. They have a wide choice of deductibles as well as premium, and it's recommended that it be purchased between the 12th and the 20th week of pregnancy. The second option, which would be Jiban, It only covers the sick baby. So if your baby is born healthy, you would just pay for the cost of the nursery, which typically is, $2,000 to $3,000. And GBEN also should be purchased between the 12th and the 20th week of pregnancy. They offer singleton or twin coverage, but the twin coverage is very expensive. So think about twins extremely carefully, like probably not to do them. And then there is another plan called Allianz, which also only covers sick baby, but it does offer the highest dollar amount of coverage for the least amount of money. The catch with Allianz is that you have to be on the plan at least 8 months before they will cover a baby. So it is recommended that you purchase that plan 3 months before the transfer so that if there is a premature baby, you have coverage. You also can do financial case management, which is something we don't recommend because while we can negotiate rates with the hospitals, and it does ease the headache of dealing with the US healthcare system, it's not insurance. So if you had a $200,000 medical bill and we were able to get a 50% discount, you would still owe the hospital $100,000. So not truly recommended for that reason. I know that I have kind of rapidly gone through insurance. I am here. If you ever need to get in contact with me, you're more than welcome to give me a call or to send me an email, and we can definitely set up a time and place to speak. Back to you, Jen.
Thank you, Virginia. So that pretty much wraps up our webinar today. I just want to quickly let everyone know that we are offering virtual complimentary consultations. They are happening days, weekends, evenings, pretty much any time that's convenient to you. We typically do offer in-person meetings in Boston, New York, and San Francisco, but because of this COVID-19 outbreak, like everyone else, we turn to virtual. So again, if you are interested in a private consultation, please feel free to reach out to Lauren Entrikin, and her email address is right there, lentrikin@circlesurrogacy.com. So at this time, I just want to open it up to questions. And I don't see any right now.
Yeah, this is Natalie. I just wanted to chime in here. I think Virginia and I, as I mentioned, we both find insurance interesting. So I think we both talked a little bit longer than we maybe should have to allow time for questions. But yeah, if after you absorb this or think about it, if you have any questions, my email is it's ncanellis@circlesurrogacy.com. So yeah, I'm happy to talk or respond in any way.
Okay, we're going to keep it open for just a few more minutes.
And if anybody would like to email me, it's virginia@yourinsuranceresource.com. So, and as Natalie mentioned, we've worked together many times, so she gives great information.
Thank you, Virginia. No, and also the funny thing is too, I think for 2020, we do understand the insurance landscape, but it does change all the time. So that's another reason why insurance is interesting. But yeah, it's good to have both of our histories to sort of make sure that we're covering everything and making everything available.
Okay, well, I don't see any questions coming through, so that will be the end of the webinar. And again, I will send everyone a copy as soon as it's uploaded. So that's it for now, and enjoy your day, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.